All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Dan Pallison here, financial psychologist, private wealth manager. And if you've watched any of these videos, you might be wondering where on earth is Kenny Gatliff? Well, I'll tell you what, Kenny and I just got done recording. Neither of us are very techie, and none of Kenny's audio picked up. But here's the thing, we were talking about here we are in the fourth quarter of the year. It's October as I record this, October 28th. And my first question to Kenny was, Kenny, as we approach the year's end, what should we be doing within the portfolio from an investment standpoint? And Kenny's answer, it's not surprising, but was basically nothing. There's no shift. We're not making any tactical shifts, into U.S. large cap or out of it, or into international or out of it. We're really maintaining our discipline around the investment portfolio. But to Kenny's point, he said what is important to be looking at here in the fourth quarter has more to do with taxes. And specifically to the portfolio tax loss harvesting. Now, he and I recorded a previous conversation about tax loss harvesting, but essentially it's finding positions that might be down in value, selling those positions, purchasing something else that's similar to, so that we're not disrupting the makeup of the portfolio, but we're capturing these losses in order to offset gains in the future, or even offsetting some of your income when you go to file your taxes. So really, that's the one thing from an investment portfolio standpoint that we'd want to address here in the fourth quarter. Now, if you're a client of mine, this is being done for you with our investment team. But if you're not, it's just something to be mindful of, and maybe take a look at your brokerage accounts and see, are there capital gains, are there capital losses, and especially if there are any losses, does it make sense to do some tax loss harvesting? So I thought I'd take the rest of the time today and just kind of go through what might be a good year end checklist here in 2024. So another thing to be mindful of that we want to accomplish before the end of the year would be satisfying your required minimum distribution, or your RMD. So if you are 73 years old and you have a qualified retirement account, like an IRA or an old 401k, it's the time for you to start taking a little bit out every year. The IRS says you've been deferring long enough. It's time to get ours. And so we need to satisfy our required minimum distributions by the end of the year. Now, technically, if you turn 73 this year, you have until next year to satisfy that first year, but you'd be doubling up next year. So another thing to be mindful of is if you're not 73, but you have an inherited IRA, like from a parent. So this is not from a spouse, but maybe from a parent or grandparent. You may also have some RMDs to be satisfying. So talk to an advisor, check with your custodian on what the requirements are there. Another thing that we can be looking at as we approach the end of the year would be qualified retirement account contributions. So like contributing to an IRA or to a Roth IRA. Now, with those specific accounts, you can technically contribute up until April 15th the next year and make a retroactive contribution. But it is good in this fourth quarter of the calendar year to be looking at what funds do you have set aside and available to be contributing. So it's often a good rule to try to max out those accounts if you're able to, especially within the calendar year. So contributions don't technically have a December 31st deadline, but conversions do. So Roth conversions, if you have money that's already in like a traditional IRA, you can move that money into a Roth IRA, and that's called a Roth conversion. Now, that does have a December 31st deadline. So again, if you're a financial planning client of mine, we're looking at these for you. Every time we have our annual review, we're looking at opportunities for this. I've probably reached out to you about a Roth conversion opportunity if there seems to be one. But if you're not, it's good to at least look at basically what tax bracket are you in. If you're in a lower tax bracket today than you think you're going to be in the future, then it might make sense to move some of those IRA dollars into a Roth account. And if you're clearly going to be in a much lower tax bracket in the future than you are today, then it might not make sense for you to Roth convert. So Roth conversions is all about when are you in a higher tax bracket, and how can you make the most out of being in a lower bracket. So another thing to be mindful of as we approach the end of the year would be gifting. So every single year, the IRS, they're so nice, they're so gracious, they allow you to give money and not report it. up to a certain limit. So in 2024, you're able to give $18,000 to anyone you like, and that falls under the gift limit exemption. In other words, you don't have to file anything on your tax return saying that you gifted that amount. So, if you are someone who has been saving money over time with the intention of giving it, to your kids or to your grandkids, rather than saving it all up and kind of giving it at the end of life or after you pass, I have a lot of clients that will have been starting to chip away at this at their gifts, and doing it year after year after year and kind of seeing the fruits of that and experiencing that. So that it's been pretty cool. And another example of this is, it's often or it's common that we see parents want to help kids out with the purchase of a home. And so they want to help out with the down payment. Now, this might be a larger amount. Let's say that they want to give $50,000 to their kids to help them purchase a home. Now, that gift would exceed the gift limit. But if you're married, then you and your spouse can both give up to that $18,000 per year. So you and your spouse could give this year, and then right after January 1st of next year, you could give again. And so maybe staggering or saddling the calendar year for gifting, especially if you have kind of a larger amount in mind, might make sense from a tax standpoint. So in summary, when we kind of go through what we might be looking at here at the end of the year, number one, tax loss harvesting in any brokerage accounts. Number two would be RMDs. I have it written down here. Number three would be any contributions to your qualified retirement accounts, making sure you're maxing those out if you're able to within the year. Number four would be Roth converting. Again, if you're a client of mine, we go through this. If you're not a client of mine, there's probably some disclaimer I should say about please consult with a tax professional or financial professional around that. And then number five is just gifting. Can you be strategic with your gifting? Does it make sense to be giving, year by year, kind of chipping away rather than larger gift amounts? So I'm recording just a few days away from Halloween, so I hope you all are having a great October. You have a fun, safe Halloween. I have little kids, so it's a fun time of year to see the excitement around costumes and candy, and so it's been a great start to this fourth quarter already. Have a good one. Thanks. Bye.